Brother, we need to talk about mental toughness. Because everywhere you look, someone's telling you to push harder. Embrace the pain. Never quit. Toughen up. And you've tried. You've pushed yourself. You've ignored the exhaustion. You've powered through. But here's what nobody's telling you. That approach often creates the opposite of what you want. Let me explain. Most mental toughness advice treats your mind like an enemy that needs to be beaten into submission. Like you need to crush every doubt, ignore every signal, and just force your way through life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Your resistance isn't weakness, it's information. When your mind tells you to stop, sometimes it's fear, but sometimes it's wisdom. And if you can't tell the difference, you're not building toughness, you're building brittleness. Think about it. The men who pride themselves on never stopping, never resting, always pushing, where do they end up? Burned out, injured, resentful, or worse. They keep going until something breaks that can't be fixed. That's not strength. That's stubbornness, wearing a strength costume. Real mental toughness isn't about ignoring your limits. It's about knowing them so well that you can dance right at the edge without falling over. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius didn't just talk about endurance. He talked about wisdom, about knowing when to push and when to pause, about accepting what you can't control, instead of exhausting yourself fighting reality. So here's what actually builds lasting mental strength. First, learn to distinguish between fear and intuition. Fear says this is uncomfortable, run away. Intuition says this path isn't aligned with who you're becoming. Mental toughness means pushing through fear, but wisdom means listening to intuition. If you override everything, you'll end up far from where you actually want to be. Ask yourself, am I avoiding this because it's hard or because it's wrong for me? Second, build recovery into your system. The strongest materials in nature aren't the hardest, they're the most flexible. Bamboo bends in the storm. Steel that's too rigid shatters. Mental toughness without rest becomes mental fragility. You need space to process, to integrate, to rebuild. That's not weakness, that's engineering. Schedule rest the same way you schedule challenge. Protect it like you protect your training. Third, reframe toughness as capacity, not tolerance. Most men try to build pain tolerance. How much can I endure before I break? But sustainable strength is about capacity. How much can I handle while staying clear, focused, and effective? Big difference. One leads to breakdown, the other leads to growth. Stop measuring toughness by how much you can suffer. Start measuring it by how much you can handle while remaining yourself. Here's the paradox nobody tells you. True mental toughness includes knowing when to stop. It takes more strength to rest when everyone's grinding than to grind when you're already broken. It takes more courage to admit you need help than to suffer in silence. It takes more wisdom to pivot than to keep pushing down a dead-end path. The strongest men aren't the ones who never bend. They're the ones who bend consciously, strategically, and then spring back stronger. So yes, build mental toughness, but build the right kind. The kind that lasts. The kind that makes you anti-fragile, not just hard. Because a life built on relentless pushing without wisdom isn't strength, it's just a slower way to break.